everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Equation Stories of Women in STEM, a podcast where we shine light upon incredible women in STEM and explore their journeys, challenges, and triumphs. I'm Ashvika Bansal, a high school student with a passion for all things related to science, technology, engineering, and maths. And today, I'm joined by Dr. Hortense, a PhD professor at um, NTU, so Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. Hello, how are you today?
Hi, Ashvika. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
It was my pleasure. So, before we begin with any of the questions, I would really like to ask you, as a child, what was your favorite STEM related to hobby or any hobby that particularly maybe inspired you to having a career in STEM?
As hobby as a child, I like to play with Lego. So you know these blocks that you can build things out of it. So I think this inspired a lot of interest in creation and building structures. So maybe that would be one hobby or toy as a kid that really inspired me to move forward in STEM.
Nice. I personally am a big Lego creator. I have a Marvel Lego collection going on right now and a F1 car series going on. So I sense what you're talking about. I also loved creating Legos since a child, and I think that's also pursuing me into going into engineering right now. Yeah. Um, so now I will be starting the questions. Could you please introduce yourself to our audience? And how did you start your journey in STEM?
Uh, yes, my pleasure. So my name is Hortense. I'm from France, and now I'm associate professor in Singapore in a university. So it means that I've been professor for more than 5 years already. And so I studied initially in France. I studied physics and chemistry after high school. And the reason I wanted to continue in this direction is because I felt that studying this field, which also involved a lot of mathematics and actually engineering, then it would keep my career path more open. So I studied 2 years physics and chemistry, and then I went to Paris to a graduate engineering school, which was also physics and chemistry, and has also mathematics, biology, and all this. And this is a graduate engineering school, which means that at the end we got a engineering degree. And at least in the context of France, it's opening a lot of opportunities. So I always wanted to keep all my options open, basically. So that's why I like to have something multidisciplinary. And then after this, I moved to Switzerland to study more material science. So for a master and then a PhD. And after my PhD, I had a short visit stay in the US. This was more like an opportunity. So I had a collaborator who was starting his own group in the US. And so I had the opportunity to visit and stay there for a few months and see actually how to start as a professor in a university, which was quite eye-opening. And then I moved to Singapore as something called postdoctoral researcher. So it's after your PhD, you can do a project. So it's a transition kind of position. And then I continued as a faculty in Singapore.
Nice. That sounds quite a lot of things you've done so far and sounds very inspiring. So you obviously like was physics. What's your favorite subject? Physics, maths, chemistry, if you had to choose one.
I love the chemistry. Although now I don't do too much chemistry. I love the organic chemistry because I love to draw the molecules. I mean, it's a bit silly, but I like to make the reaction. You draw the molecules, and then sometimes molecules they are in 3D and they can be quite complex. And then you can build them. It's a little bit back to the Lego, but there are kits where you can build the
Yes,
molecules in 3D. So I think when studying, I really, really enjoy this.
that's so cool. Okay. As an associate professor at NTU, like you mentioned, what excites you the most about working in academia and research?
So what I really love with the academia is this academic freedom that we have. So, of course, there are a lot of constraints, but typically we can choose the topic that we want to research on. We can adjust our time, we can adjust our interest, and then so we are kind of in control somewhat, or we like to think we are somewhat in control of what we can do. But then we are also um, I mean, I feel everybody around us, they're also very motivated, passionate, and interested, and especially the students, right? They always come up with new idea, bright ideas, something very different also sometimes. So it gives also a lot of opportunities to learn different things, and I see continuous learning, and there are a lot of surprises along the way. Like, I would not imagine today I'm working on these topics. Like 2 years ago, I would not think about that. So this is, I think, very exciting to me. Yeah.
That's really nice. I think personally learning is always a good opportunity. Like you can never stop learning. And being in your position, being a associate professor, you can always see other students also learning with you. So, and teaching other students. So that's quite fascinating. My next question is, who were your role models or mentors, and how did
I
they
cannot hear you.
influence? Sorry,
Sorry,
am I
there
audible?
was a frozen thing.
Oh, okay. I was just saying it's quite inspiring. Studying, I think, can never stop. And being in this field, obviously, you see other people studying or learning with you, which is always going to be inspiring in a form.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And my next question to you is, who are some of the people that you looked up to for inspiration, your role models? Um, and how did they influence your journey into where you are now?
I think my, I mean, as everybody, we all have many different role models. Definitely, some of the teachers I had inspired me, but I think the most impactful ones came up a little bit later, maybe during my postgraduate studies. And they were, I think, my master's thesis advisor. She was in UK, and um, a very successful lady. And so for me, that was kind of like very fascinating. Oh wow, she can do all this and do all that, and still be very approachable, friendly, like to go to the pub and all this. So yeah, so I think that for me one was one great role model.
Um, saying what hearing what you've said, one of these taboos I would say in this field of STEM for women, especially pursuing their careers, is they can't manage life and work, or studying would then later become their entire life. Do you have anything, like any ideas or thoughts on this idea?
I think that's a very complex issue that is still there and not so easy to solve. So actually, one reason this person was a role model, she came also with her kids to the group meetings and all. I think that was really eye-opening to see that. Um, but I think there are many things that are in place to facilitate the the family and the career. So especially for ladies, but also for men actually. So
Mm-hmm.
when I was studying as a PhD, two of my friends, they had two kids during their PhD. So they can still do studies and also have a life. This is now a lot more awareness about this kind of issue. What I would say, maybe my own slight experience is if you can study faster everything earlier, then it's maybe also easy. But generally, the academic field is very flexible. So you could take like some time off or do things to accommodate what you feel like to do at the moment.
Yes. I think as we go in the generations, that's really great. I repeated a year when I changed schools, and I think that was one of the best things that happened to me because now I feel so much more calmer as a person that I know what exactly I wanted to do in the future before I think some of my like friends in school who are still uncertain about what they want to do. And I think like, oh, if I was a year above me, I think I would have been more pressurized to like have my life perfectly planned out for me. But that 1 year kind of gave me a lot of time to reflect on what I want to do and what I think would have been the right decision for me. So,
Yeah, that's a good example. I mean, we all have different paces or
yes.
different goals, right? So we need to adjust to it. Yeah.
And like I think education now, like going into school or college or for masters, it's quite flexible as to a time before where it was very strict or restricted to like anyone actually, not even females, just like after school you go to college, like do something to then get a job. But now you have like more freedom over your life as time goes
Yeah,
by.
and some people can also change like topic or have also like part-time studies. Like maybe there is
Mhm.
more, yeah, more flexibility. I hope so.
Yes. My next question to you is, what challenges have you faced as a woman in STEM, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, that's also a very good question. Um, to be honest, I feel now people are a lot more aware about some challenges, and I realized about them quite late, to be honest. Like at the, again, postgraduate level, then I realized that uh, the bias and all the differences. Before that, I think I was, yeah, naive and I didn't know about anything, which is good in a way. So I didn't really felt too much thing going on. Maybe the actually now that I'm very sensitive to this topic is mostly also because I could see a difference between the different fields. So I told you I studied chemistry, then material science, and actually in this field there is also a lot of biology. And in
Mhm.
the areas where you have a lot of biology, somehow you have a lot of women. And now I'm in mechanical aerospace engineering. So it's a totally different scenario. So maybe I can talk more of the challenges of women in mechanical aerospace engineering. So I think the fact that there are not so many, even for the students, is it means um, it's not that there is no change on the opportunities, but there is not this group that kind of pushes you up. So sometimes if you go into a classroom and then you feel you don't have anyone to talk to, then you kind of want to drop. So this is something that is something to work on. So maybe to have more bonding also of the women together and also men and women students together. And then another challenge is the higher up you go. I mean, it's everywhere the same. The higher up you go, the less women you have. One issue is because of the family career challenge, and then this is a bit of the same way, it makes it more and more difficult because if you move higher, then you want to meet people that look like you, that are a bit like you,
Oh,
and then it's yeah, it's more and more difficult. So because I'm professor, right? So in currently in mechanical aerospace, I think we are less than 10% women. So it's like the men are friendly and all, huh? There is no problem with that.
yes,
But for example, um,
the
it's
moral
more
support,
easy, the moral support, it's more easy to reach out to a lady and then to say, "Oh, I want to
certainly.
do this. What do you think?" I don't know. The bonding is different.
Yes.
I feel so for me that's my own challenge maybe. But so the way I overcome this is so first I try to organize actually a bit like you, like so it's more like talks or symposia, so I can invite my
Mhm.
friends and all, and create the
That's nice.
network. And the other thing is I notice now mostly everywhere you have some sort of support group for, so it can be for women, it can be for I don't know, people of color or people from a certain region. So usually as human beings we like to create support groups. Now in NTU where I'm part of this a group called Powers, which is for promoting women in engineering, research, and science. And so this is something that I don't know. I find it very motivating to talk about this, to meet different people, to try to inspire other, a little bit like what you're doing. So I think that's a great way to move forward as a woman in STEM.
I would, that's so true. Personally, I've also felt the same way. So right now I just started Bex Robotics, and in my entire like class of people, we were 6 teams, and out of all of the 6 teams, there are only 3 girls. And in my group, I'm the only girl. Although I've learned so much from all the boys and all my teammates, but I do understand how that like having some other female can make such a big impact, like having someone to talk to. Even if I see in physics, there's only 2 girls in my class, including myself, and that does make a huge difference. But I do see there's like an improvement because the years below me, I'm also part of this STEM empowerment club in my school. And there's so many girls in that CAT club, as we like to call it, who are inspiring to pursue physics in higher level or chemistry in higher level, which even in my year, so little of us have done. And I think as I'm growing older, or as people are getting more aware of all these opportunities that lie for them, it has helped inspire them. And hopefully, this podcast can also help make aware of people of there's so many opportunities for women that are being missed out on just because of this maybe fear of not having anyone else is keeping people down to join like fields such as
Yeah,
engineering.
I think like women in general, we also love, right, to do robotics, coding,
Yes,
chemistry. Like we actually love all these kind of things. But yeah, sometimes
I was just in
if you don't
despair.
see someone there, then it's a bit you think twice, let's say. And
Yeah,
then
like
it happened. You can be with a group of guys, of boys, and they're all nice and friendly. But then it's hard to connect so strongly sometimes. Like find common topics and all right.
certainly, I agree. Like it was a step out of my comfort zone. Although I knew I would have loved robotics even if I joined sooner, I was always intimidating by the fact there were no other females there, or I would have no friends. Let's just put it like that. But now
Yeah.
that I've joined it, my passion for robotics is greater, I would say, than this need to have someone who I can talk to.
That's great.
So
Have you noticed actually sometimes I feel once you dare to go there, actually that's what is happening. You dare, then more people come, right?
yes,
So
yes,
it's always needs one step forward and then more people will
more
follow.
people. Yes, that's a great way to put it. My next question to you is, what advice would you give to young women who are considering pursuing a career in material science or maybe engineering or aeronautical engineering? Since, like you mentioned, they're quite less, 10% of us almost.
I mean, I would say, yeah, for sure, come, please join us. Don't hesitate. I would say actually because now, again, as we mentioned, right, there is more and more awareness, and
Mm,
there is a lot of talks about it. So uh, uh, people will be pleased also to have you, and
yes.
even more because like now we need a few, just a few, and then a lot more will come. So I would say definitely there to go and continue a career in STEM in general. It's a good idea. Please go ahead.
Yes. I think that question linked quite well with our conversation before, so carry on. My next question is, how important is collaboration across disciplines in your research, and how do you approach building effective partnerships in your field?
Yeah, that's a good question. So my research is on um, developing high performance materials in a more sustainable way. And to do this, I use inspiration from nature. So this is a field called biomimicry or bioinspiration. I prefer to use the word bioinspiration than biomimicry because biomimicry is more copying nature and bioinspiration is more I take some ideas from nature, but sometimes it's hard to see the connection, basically. So that's my area, and the high performance material that I'm talking about can be composites, can be ceramics, and can be also um, biomaterials, so made from naturally sourced material like bamboo, wood, even fungi. So because uh, of the nature of my research, which has some links to maybe biology, sustainability, but also the applications. So the ceramics, it can be for mechanics, so making very strong composites. It can be for recently it was for thermal, so for electronic system. There is a problem of heat in the electronics, so we need to cool down. So because of these different areas, for me, multidisciplinary is actually very important. And I pointed out earlier, my interest and studies were slightly also a bit interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary.
Yes.
So I think it's quite important. And in general, uh, people like to encourage interdisciplinarity or multidisciplinarity because that's how maybe ideas or innovation can spark. So you're from one field, you go somewhere else, you see things differently, you will think differently, and then you may be able to think outside the box and then create new ideas.
Yes.
So that would be for the importance, and then how to build such effective partnerships. Uh, I don't know. Usually it's going out there and then have finding the common passion. So if you think, oh, I really want to make something more sustainable, then someone also absolutely want to do this, but for a completely different system, then at least there is some common ground, and then we can build on this. Because one challenge for multidisciplinarity is actually the language. Sometimes, if I take a word like texture, if I talk to an architect or a designer about texture, they will think about, I don't know, how it feels and all. And then if I talk to a material scientist about texture, they will think about crystallographic texture, which is maybe the how the atoms are arranged in the matter. That's also a texture. So it's the same word but has very different meanings. So
Mhm.
that would be something to work on. So if you find like common motivation, then you can easily find then more common language and move
Links,
forward. Yeah.
certainly. Um, like you said, you're into material science. I'm not sure a lot of the audience is aware of what material science actually consists of, since it is quite unheard of field in, I think, engineering. Could you please elaborate into what exactly do you do, or what have you learned to pursue this in the future?
Yeah, so material science actually in itself, it's a little bit multidisciplinary. So because it goes from making nanomaterials, so for example, synthesizing nanoparticles, to building composite materials where you have microfibers in the polymer matrix. And then material science also includes characterization of these materials. So you can use X-rays, infrareds, like there are a large variety of characterization. And so material science also includes biomaterials, which can you make this material and then put it in the body? That's also one area of material science. So for me, the material science aspect of my research is how to assemble particles together um, to build a bigger structure. So typically, when I say I produce materials and I make composites, what I'm talking about is like a few centimeter. So maybe that's one thing in material science is maybe the scale is rather small,
Mhm.
whereas a mechanical engineer, when they make composites, it's already
Huge.
half the size of an airplane, right?
Yes,
So I would say material science look into more the material, so at millimeter um, and then nanoscale.
that's that makes it clear. Thank you so much. My one last question to you is, if you could solve one grand challenge in material science today, what would it be?
Wow. I wish I could do this today. So we've been talking about composites. So
Hmm.
composites means there are multiple materials mixed together. So it can be a polymer or like a plastic, and then inside you can put some metallic particles or some ceramic particles. And then you do
Yes,
this because the particles will make the composite maybe stronger
stronger.
or
Change
give it some
its,
properties.
yes.
Yeah, tailoring the properties. So these composite materials are amazing. You can do a lot of things, but there is a question of how can you recycle? You cannot recycle these composites, or it's very difficult because you need to
Um,
separate. It's like you make a cake and
yes,
then
but
you know
also
how to make the cake. Can you separate all the ingredients of the cake to
no,
get back
after,
the original, right? You cannot, right?
no.
But in the ideal world, we would like to do this. Have you seen like the wind turbines? They have
Yes,
this long thing that rotates,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But after 10 years, maybe you have
Very
birds coming in and there is
change, yeah,
damage. Then we don't know what to do with this. So then
that is true.
they have cemetery for this.
Oh,
Yeah, because it's just like either we put it in landfill
useless.
or yeah, like a cemetery. So I think I would love to be able to recycle composites. Maybe you want to join me to try this.
Yes, please. That is so, especially because of sustainability and how big of sustainability and like recycling has become in this day and age. I think that's such a good idea or focus or even a goal for anyone to tackle in this age and day. Because of course we want to preserve our land and our world for the future generations to come. So I think that's a great mission or a great goal to pursue and look out to.
Yeah,
Do
and
you
a
have
lot of
any
work.
last? Yes, of course. Do you have any last words or any last advice you would like to give out to females who are looking to pursue a career in STEM?
Uh, yeah, my last advice would be to be curious, to don't not be scared about anything. Just listen to your inner voice and then follow your goals, your instincts, your motivation. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you spending this time talking to us about this, and it has really inspired me and made me look at things in such different ways, and even pursued me to look into material science more and how fascinating it is. And I hope that's done the same for other people. Um, it has been a pleasure having you in Beyond the Equation. Thank you so much for being here. And to everyone listening, you can please follow your research and your team's research once it's published. Yeah. And
Thank you so
don't
much.
forget to,
Yeah,
yeah,
I love to talk with you.
thank you. Don't forget to tune in next week for another inspiring guest who makes waves in STEM. And please, thank you, Dr. Hortense, for joining me today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.